Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started by just introducing to you my friend Judy LaPrade. Judy and I met through music circles and the music camp that I used to go to on a regular basis, but haven't been able to for a couple of years. But Judy is a trained massage therapist, a wellness coach, a health coach, and she has been working with people for years to make their lives, help them make their own lives better through self-care and being aware of their bodies. And she is a really good soul, and she does what she does with humor and love and an understanding of our humanness. So I am really, really glad to have Judy LaPrade here moving us through this. And I hope that afterwards you will ask any questions, stick around and ask any questions if you have them. And also that you will pass this along to other people, since it will be up on YouTube. We all know folks who are in need of a little TLC. And so we want to make this a resource for anyone, anywhere, any way we can. So welcome, Judy. I'm going to turn it over to you. And I'm going to mute myself and encourage everybody else to continue that.
All right. Thank you, Kim. And welcome, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. I'm modeling a little self-compassion by putting this, I call it my Bessie Smith crown on my head. So I can feel a little bit less serious about the situation, because this is a really serious time and really serious material, and all that seriousness is built in. So the fun part and the silly part and the joyful part is what we will pay attention to, because we are all worthy. And when I say we are all worthy, what I mean is that we all deserve kindness and respect, and we all deserve to feel a little bit better. And I worked my first 15 professional years or so, in mental health as a counselor, both with families and individuals and groups. And then I thought I was switching to bodies when I stopped doing therapy and went to massage therapy school, to a real hot dog school down in Florida, to learn some serious deep tissue work. And isn't that funny that I thought the bodies and the heads were going to be two different kinds of treatments? Because in reality, everything you do for your body is good for your head, and everything you do for your head is good for your body. And so, so just know that wherever you decide to start in being more self-compassionate, that when I say body care, that includes your brain. So, not only are you worthy, but you are the only person that can control how you are treated and how you treat yourself. So, you know, we can have a lot of pipe dreams about what we want other people to do for us, and that's all they are, is pipe dreams. So if you want to do better for other people, do better for yourself, and then you have more compassion to pass along instead of the crazy stress of our times. And what I'd like to say about that is, in starting off, all we're going to do this evening is build these layers. You know, there's so much to do, and you think, how can I do all the brain and body in an hour? Well, we're going to build layers just like a cake. We're going to start with noticing, and we're going to add breath. And the reason we are focusing so much on noticing and about our breath is because when tension patterns occur, whether it's a mental tension pattern or a physical tension pattern, your breath is the first thing to respond, and it responds by getting shallow and by coming way up in here and taking the breath out of the place that we are made to breathe, which is from our diaphragm down below. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So what I'm going to invite you to do is don't worry about any taking notes. This whole program is outlined with some details in the handouts. So you'll have everything you need, and anything that you need that you don't have, you can ask questions later. So we are going to do this process for an hour rather than you just listening to me blah, blah, blah about things and putting you to sleep. So what I want you to do is just get a really comfortable seat, and just without changing anything, just notice your breathing right now. Just notice what it feels like. Notice where you feel the breathing in your body. And then as you're paying attention to that, notice your whole body. And what I want you to do is just do a gentle scan, like if you were some kind of an x-ray scan going from head to toe. I just want you to slowly notice what's happening, what your face feels like, and notice what your neck feels like, because these are classic places for lots of tension. And then notice your shoulders and your trunk and your arms and hands. Notice your low back and hips and your legs and your feet. And the idea is that when you bring attention to your body, you're already starting to change things, because it's very natural in this very stressful time we're in to be extremely stressed. And when we're stressed, what we do is we stop noticing. So let's just go ahead and help that process along by doing this thing that is called a complete breath. And I'm going to take a big breath and I'm going to let it out because I want to feel what's happening here. I'm going to breathe all the way out. And then I'm going to invite you to do 3 breaths with me, and I'm going to count. And the idea is to breathe in your nose and breathe out your mouth, and to breathe in half as long as you breathe out. So I'm going to count to 4 on an inhale, and then I'm going to count to 8 on the exhale, and I'll point to the part that we're breathing with. And I want you to just notice your body, and notice especially if you have a shoulder or a hip or a knee, something that's bothering you. I just want you to notice as you focus on your breath, kind of put your side eye out to notice what's happening with the problematic part of your body. So we're going to start by exhaling out the mouth all the way first, just gently and slowly, sort of like you had a straw. Then we're going to breathe into 4. 1, your nose, 2, 3, 4. Hold just a second, and then out your mouth to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you can't go to 8, that's okay. 6, 7, 8. Pause a second, back in the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. Out the mouth to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. Into 4 in your nose. Hold a second, and out your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then just go to your natural breathing. That quick little trick. Does anybody notice that your natural breathing now is a little different? Just hold up your hand if your natural breathing already feels a little different. Yeah. So what happens with the breath is it's like a switch. There can be any event that turns on your stress switch, and it clicks every system of your body into a different mode. Your heart speeds up, your muscles tense up, you stop digesting as much. And when we go to the breath, it's like you flip that switch back to the non-stress mode, which makes me want to take a breath. And flipping that switch, I will save you years of time and trouble and money and therapy costs. Knowing that that works is never going to stop you from breathing shallowly when you're stressed and having muscles get tight when you're stressed. So the idea is that for thousands and thousands of more times for the rest of your life, you have an opportunity to notice that you're not breathing well, and take a breath. Take 3 breaths. And just keep breathing with me as we're talking about this part, and switch that off. Your digestion has already picked back up. Your muscles are more relaxed. And I'm going to focus a lot on the muscles now and go through some practices that involve those. And I'll tell you why. Because the tension patterns that we have in our body really affect the long-term health of our muscles and our joints. Because if you have this sort of shoulder habit of being up a little bit, everybody just put one shoulder up and feel what happens in your neck, and feel what happens in your spine and your low back, and then take a breath and let that sucker go. So that's one thing we do, is side to side holding. Another thing that we all do is this protective holding around the heart. So our upper arms rotate in and lift the shoulders up a little bit in stress. And I'm exaggerating it, but yeah, it's been quite a year and a half, so maybe not so much. So exaggerate that, roll your shoulders, your upper arms in and up. It clamps all your chest muscles around your heart to protect you, and it overstretches your back muscles, which makes them weak. So take another breath and let that go. So here's a layer that we're going to add right away to your focusing on your breath the whole time we're together. I want you to think about what happens, and notice what happens when you rotate your upper arms out. So I want everybody to just gently rotate your upper arms out and then let your hands rest on your arms of your chair or on your body. And what I am aware of, and I'll invite you to notice this also, what I'm aware of is that all these tight muscles in my chest that are overly strengthened, they open up and my chest is more open. And that means my super overstretched back is more relaxed back toward my spine with those upper arms being rotated out. And everything changes. And it really supports the breathing that we're doing. So if you want little cheats to get kind of obsessive about as you are building your self-compassion practice, the upper arms rotated out and then resting is a really great thing to match with your breath. So all this holding can cause injuries in your muscles. It pulls on your joints. not only as its own kind of injury from muscles getting all tight, and when they're tight, there's not as much blood flow in them, and the muscle fibers that are supposed to lay like this next to each other get kind of bunched up. And when they're bunched up, the blood's not flowing very well in there. So that can bring on its own kind of injuries or problems. Also, your muscle tension can contribute as what I call a secondary injury. And you probably have experienced this. Have you ever had a problem in your body that was really bugging you with pain and discomfort, and the next thing you know, another part of your body starts to get reactive? And that really stresses us out. I have a bad right shoulder. Now, oh no, my left shoulder hurts. That was my good shoulder. Well, how does that happen? It's really such a simple thing. For one thing, your posture's changing. For another thing, what do you do when your shoulder hurts? You don't use that arm as much. So you use the other arm more, and then it gets affected. So we're going to really zero in on neck and shoulders for the rest of our session, for learning some stretching. You'll have the resource to get that stretching book, and you'll also have the video to come back and work with. And the kind of stretching that we do is called active isolated stretching. And what that is it's a really specific system that takes that sore shoulder through every direction that it is made to go and helps it very safely let go. It's really important to know that you're going to find places where your shoulder doesn't really move very easily. And you need to respect that 100%. So when I say, for example, we're going to do a forward elevation, if your arm just comes up this far and you have to do it with your elbow bent a little bit, that's where your arm wants to be. And there's no room for judgment, even though, of course, that's what we do. But this is an excellent opportunity to express your self-compassion through the way you take care of your body by both being super gentle, never doing anything to pain, and also noticing what's happening afterwards, which is maybe the most important thing. So it's kind of like baby yoga for a specific part of your body. With yoga, you relax, you get better range of motion, you get stronger. So that's the same thing that this form of stretching does. It relaxes and it improves your range of motion. It makes you a little stronger, because every time you stretch one muscle or set of muscles, the opposing muscles, as the stretching ones lengthen, the opposing muscles are shortening. So they're working. So it's a great toning practice, as well as relaxing and stretching. So take another couple of breaths. And I want you to think about your neck. And if you have neck issues, give me a little hand so I can see if there's anybody here that particularly has neck issues. Okay, how about shoulder? Not so much shoulder. How about low back? Hip. Okay. So what we're going to do for our shoulders is going to be really beautiful for our neck. And I'll tell you why. There are some crazy things happening now with our necks that were not the case before. Our technical injuries used to be related to holding a phone like this too much while we took notes or something, because we didn't even have speakers, on our phones before. Now we have computers, and I will show you computer neck. It's kind of like this. So you'll see the front of my neck got longer, and that's what happens to you when you're collapsing in front of your computer. And the back of my neck got shorter, and my chin went up, and my head went forward. So I want everybody to pretend like you're at your computer, and I want you to put your head forward with your chin up a little bit, and you can exaggerate it some, and just feel how the back of your neck is really short and the front of your neck is really long. And we're going to do a simple breath for correction. So what I want you to do is exhale in this awful position. I also call this driving in the snow. I want you to exhale in this awful position, and then I want you to breathe in through your nose and just sort of let your body follow that inhale. Let your inhale bring yourself up, and notice what a simple correction happens with that breath. So computer neck is a big thing. The other one that I'll point out is called texting neck, and that's where you're like this with your phone in front of you. It's also just phone neck. Now with this one, the front of your neck gets shorter and the back of your neck gets longer. And let's do a breathing correction for that. Exhale first, and then breathe in. And feel how that can lift you up. It lifts your chest, and everything can relax in a much better place. When we get to alignment, I will show you some ways to avoid those things, or to a very good reason to correct those things. And notice them. You know, you're not going to stop doing it, but you can notice and breathe to make yourself feel better and cut the damage off. You know, if you think about when you're reading and you're back like this and your head's forward, if you're like laying on a couch or in a recliner, so, you know, supporting your head and that kind of thing is really so. Again, we're going to go to the breath. So let's breathe into 4 and out to 8, out your mouth. And I want you to think about your shoulders. The way we do these stretches is we repeat 2-second holds, and those holds are for a good reason. It's to activate a certain kind of release in the muscle, so you get these small improvements with your range and with your comfort with every repetition. And in the book, which is the stretching book that's in your handout, the resource for that, it will always say do 10. We're going to do 5 of each of these. And we're going to start with the very one that I talked about first, with your chest. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to bring our hands together at about shoulder height in front of you. And to whatever comfortable degree you can, open your arms up, palms facing forward at about shoulder height, just where you're comfortable, really comfortable. And your 2 arms can be different. And then we're going to count 1,001, 1,002. And with the breath, we're going to breathe in on the release. So breathe in, and then we always exhale on the stretch. 1,002, 1,002. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1,003, 1,002. Breath in. Breath out. 1,004, 1,002. One more. Exhale on the stretch. 1,005, 1,002. And then rest your arms and take a breath. And see if you already start to notice some release happening in your shoulders. There is a sister stretch to that that we're going to do. And for that one, you stay seated. We're going to have the back of our hands meet at an angle down instead of up at shoulder height. So from there, you're going to just bring your arms around to where your palms are facing behind you or at your sides, 1,001, 1,002. Again, watch for pain and back off of it every time. Exhale in the stretch, 1,002, 1,002. I'm going to stand for this so you can see my arms better. 1,003, 1,002. Stretching the inside of the upper arm, 4, 1,002. One more, breathe in, breathe out, 1,005, 1,002. Release, take that resting breath always. And just notice what's happening. And the beauty of this kind of system is the releases are automatic. You don't have to think about it. When something hurts and it feels impossible to let it go, you do a little gentle, safe stretching or a little cold pack, which we'll talk about in a minute. And the body care of self-compassion is the magic, because you show your compassion for yourself through a simple practice that automatically makes you feel better. So what we did there is we stretched the pecs on the chest side and this arm thing here. So we stretched the front of your chest and shoulder girdle. Now to stretch the back of your chest and shoulder girdle, we're going to do one arm at a time. I want you to bring one hand in front, facing the middle, and with your elbow kind of straight, bring it across your chest. You can bend your elbow a little bit, and just really gently help it be in its perfect place. 1,001, 1,002. Breathe in and breathe out. 2, 1,002. Breathe in, breathe out. 1,003, 1,002. 1,004, 1,002. 1,005, 1,002. And take a resting breath. And I love the one side at a time ones, because sometimes you can really feel the difference in the two sides. So if you can feel a little difference in your two sides, just give me a little wave. Yeah. So that was stretching the back. These trapezius muscles are very stubborn. They want so badly to hold on for dear life and take care of us. And let me just say, all the stuff that happens in your body and your brain with stress is completely normal. You are having normal reactions to abnormal situations that we are in these days, on top of just life, right? So for trapezius, we're going to do that same arm, starting the same way with your hand out in the front. This time, switch it up by bending your elbow and bring this hand to the top of the opposite shoulder. And you can help it stretch a little bit at your elbow, just really gently. 1,001, 1,002. Breathe as you open up. Exhale. 2, 1,002. So we're resetting the stretch reflex with every single repetition by contracting the opposing muscles, the opposing ones to the ones we're stretching. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1,001, 1,002. One more. Breathe in and breathe out. 1,001, 1,002. Then take a resting breath and notice again, and maybe even more so, that that shoulder feels like it's dropping and kind of more opened up. So we'll do the same two stretches with the opposite arm. We're going to start the palm facing in the middle, coming across with a gentle stretch. Breathe in, breathe out. you actually get more result from gentle stretching. Breathe in, breathe out, 1,003, 1,002. Because muscles are just like me, they hate being bossed around. 1,004, 1,002, and they will rebel. Breathe in, breathe out, 1,005, 1,002. And go to your resting breath with your arms relaxed. Feel a little more balance in your two sides. And that same arm, we're going to bend it with the palm facing your middle. Put it on your opposite shoulder. A little help with the stretch. 1,001, 1,002. Breathe in, breathe out. 1,002, 1,002. Breathe in and out. 3,002. 4,002. Last one. 1,005, 1,002. And let your arm rest. Take a breath. So just start scheming a little bit with yourself while you're breathing and noticing. Where does this fit into your life? Is this something that would go well with a morning meditation or prayer time? Is this something before bed that would help you feel more comfortable while you sleep and more comfortable when you wake up? Just kind of start scheming without any kind of judgment or a hard expectation about how this can start fitting in. So we have done the front and the back of the chest and shoulder girdles. We're going to go to shoulder elevation, which is raising your arm, and I showed you that one a little earlier. And I'm going to start with both hands facing here, and I'm standing so you can just see what I'm doing. Then I'm going to sit down. One thumb goes up toward your head, the other arm with the pinky leading goes back, kind of like I call this the toy soldier. So just a gentle stretch, and if you can get halfway up and that's it, that is where you need to be. 1,001, 1,002. Breathe in, they come together again, breathe out, same arm up. Exhale, 2,002. Breathe in to center, same arm up. Breathe out, 3,002. Breathe in, breathe out. 4,002. Breathe in and breathe out. 5,002. Then a resting breath. You're activating muscles and you're also letting go of another layer of the holding pattern, tension pattern in your muscles. And anytime as you're noticing, if your body says, this one's not for me right now, please listen to your body, because this is your practice. This isn't school. You don't have to do anything. Just pay attention to what your body wants you to do. So we're going to start with both hands forward again, and we're going to bring the opposite arm up this time, thumb toward the head. The other arm goes back, pinky finger back, behind, 1,001, 1,002. Breathe in and breathe out. 2,002. Notice how your two sides might feel different. Breathe in, breathe out. 1,003, 1,002. That was 4. Counting to 5 is very challenging these days. Breathe in, breathe out. 1,001, 1,002. We're going to do one more. Breathe in and breathe out. 1,001, 1,002. And then rest. kind of like you're lifting weights. You know, you think, oh, this doesn't look like I'm doing anything, but you will be amazed if you did this on a regular basis. The tone that starts to come is pretty remarkable, and it feels great. Okay, so that is forward elevation. Another way that your arm wants to be able to move is in side elevation, and we get in a lot of trouble with this. You have 4 different muscles that are comprising what they call the rotator cuff. And I used to think before I knew the rotator cuff, well, that's the muscles around the rotation of the shoulder, but those are muscles on the back of your shoulder. And so sometimes when strain in your shoulder happens or in your neck, it has to do with the rotator cuff, and it often shows up in the front of your arm around your bicep or the front head of your deltoid, or what I call the Michelle Obama muscle. Because she has such pretty muscle up on the cap of her upper arm. We'll try not to be mad at her about that because it just looks great. But anyway, if you feel a catch somewhere, that is that part of your body saying, pay attention to me, please. And it also can trick you about where the problem really is. So that's why it's really good to do a complete stretching session where you get all the different directions. So we are going to very gently do sideways elevation, and you're going to have your palm forward at shoulder height. And watch me first. The idea is to bring your thumb toward your head, but a lot of times there's these catches in there. So you can either go to the catch and stop, or you can cheat and bend your arm and come up this way closer to your head so you can stretch it in toward your head. So I will leave that up to your own basic wisdom, which you want to do as we try this. So we start palm facing forward, thumb comes toward the head. If you get a catch, either stay there or cheat and bring it in bent and come up, or maybe you can go all the way up. 1,001, 1,002, however you get to where it feels right for you. Breathe in, breathe out. 2, 1,002, breathe in, breathe out. 3, 1,002, breathe in, breathe out. 4, 1,002, breathe in. Last one, breathe out. 1,005, 1,002. Take a resting breath. So your body always needs to go on its own to the place of the stretch. When it gets there, you can help it a little bit to go a tiny bit further, but that's not always necessary. So in your resting breath, just notice what that shoulder feels like. And if your shoulder kind of saying to you, I don't know about this, that's okay. Just listen to your shoulder. It knows what it needs to say. And we're going to go to the other arm for sideways elevation, starting with your palm forward. I'm just leaning so you can see my hand. And then bring it up to where you can go, or all the way, or bring it in bent and cheat up and come toward your head. 1,001, 1,002. Breathe in on the release. Breathe out on the stretch. 2, 1,002. Breathe in. Breathe out. 3, 1,002. Breathe in. Breathe out. 4, 1,002. Last one. Breathe in and breathe out. 1,005, 1,002. And then take a resting breath and feel that next layer of release. This is such a beautiful thing. You can put together, once you learn these, a 5-minute or a 10-minute little stretch for a break, for a morning wake up or an evening wind down. You can also spend a long time doing a lot of different stretches for different parts of your body, but you certainly don't have to for it to be effective. There are lots of different directions your shoulder will go. We're not going to do all those stretches right now, but one of the things is rotation, where from a scarecrow position, you come forward for one, for internal rotation, and back for external rotation. So that's an important one. And you can also find a lot of YouTube videos on active isolated stretching. Just watch out, because a lot of those folks are super athletes, and it's just nothing for them to have these really extreme ranges of motion, and it can make us feel kind of bad about ourselves. But really, that's all I'm going to say about that. The perfect people on YouTube. Okay, so just take a breath. And just notice what your breathing is like compared to when you started. And for you neck people, I want you to notice what your neck is like compared to when you started. Because a lot of neck release happens with shoulder release. We'll do just a couple of neck stretches. And the neck is one part of the body that is probably about the easiest to make mad. And you don't want to make your neck mad. So think about doing these really gently, so gently that you're just kind of learning what they're like, rather than thinking that you're going to your furthest range of motion. So just get a nice, tall, comfortable seat. And we talked about all the, the neck alignment stuff. So aside from the breath helping you realign your neck, another thing you can do is just notice that your chin is up and your head's forward a little bit, which is just super normal for us to do. So if you drop your chin a little bit and take that breath, that is a lovely little reset. So you've got two little resets to obsess with. Practicing rolling your upper arms out and then dropping your chin a little bit and taking that breath. And it's typical when we're first really working with muscle tension patterns to want to really hold it in a better place. And I will say that holding tight in a lovely alignment is not all that much better than holding tight in bad alignment, because they're both messing with your comfort and your progress. So, when you drop your chin and take that breath, and then you may notice that you're trying to hold it there, just take another breath. Let it off the hook. It's going to go back up anyway, and you always have to breathe. So, self-compassion. One of my really deep observations about self-compassion is that we don't just feel bad, we get mad at ourselves for feeling bad. It's our fault that we feel bad for, whatever reason we can lay on that. So that's a lovely thing to notice when you're doing that to yourself. And that's all I'll say about that. Okay. I'm going to talk for just a minute, and this information is on your handout about the use of cold and warm. And science is always changing things around. Now they're saying, oh, ice is not good for athletic recovery or for injuries. Well, in the study that they did, I noticed they were putting people in ice baths, like athletes, So compare that to having a little ice pack on your neck for 10 or 15 minutes, and it's a totally different thing. So for cold, you want to use cold to reduce inflammation. Cold chases the excess fluid out of something. That's why when you sprain an ankle, you ice and you elevate to let all the inflammation not so much pile in around your ankle. It releases that. So it's more blood that comes in that makes it inflamed, and bigger oxygen cells they puff up, even if you can't see swelling. So cold is like a local anti-inflammatory that you can use for just 10 or 15 minutes. You don't want to do cold for an hour. And you can put it on your neck, you can put it on your back, and sometimes people take it like with an anti-inflammatory, they use the ice, but try it on its own and see what happens. So if cold chases the fluid out, warm brings fluid in, and it's very relaxing. So you wouldn't necessarily, everybody's different, and you're going to respond the way you respond. Some people get tighter with heat. If you've ever had an extreme heat experience, like if you were in a hot tub or a really hot bath, and then later on you felt a little bit stiff from that, it's because a lot of blood is flowing into your tissues that where you feel that stiffness. But heat is extremely relaxing, and so if you don't have a real injury, the heat is okay to put where it hurts for relaxing. But my favorite thing is this thing called a contrast treatment, where you put cold where it hurts, usually on some back part of the body, let's say cold on your neck or on your shoulder, while you put warm at the same time opposite where the cold is. And this is in your handout. And then you just rest for a few minutes. So you get the benefit of the warm relaxing, and also the benefit of the cold with the inflammation. And in the winter, who feels like ice in your neck, right? So the warm is a very comforting thing to use along with. And then there's also a little bit of information on there about self-massage. And the best kind of self-massage is something that is specific. So if you have something that hurts and it's a bony place, and this is, as I say in the handout, if you find that bony place, let's try our elbow. A lot of people have, let's try the inside of the elbow, and just kind of press on that bone and feel how that's kind of tender. Well, it's because we use our forearm muscles a lot, and they get overdone. And so the way you would use friction massage, it's on a bony place. So put your thumb on that bone on the inside. I have my hand up here on the inside of that elbow joint. Just find a bony place and make little tiny, just like ½ inch circle, like dime size, really small circle with a thumb tip or a fingertip. And if you can let your arm relax while you do that, so you're not having to hold it up. And we're just going to do that for about ½ a minute. Little circle. Don't have to press real hard. You don't want to injure your other parts, helping the tender parts. And breathe. And then take your hand away, take a breath, and press on that place again. And it probably is still tender, but if you were having like a tendonitis kind of a thing there, let's say you ice it a little bit, 15 minutes, You do a little bit of that tiny circle right on the bony part. It's going to really relieve that pulling on the joint that caused that tendon problem. The tendon is the little thin wrapper kind of thing on the end of your muscle. Like if you think of a piece of candy, a wrapped candy, and the belly of your muscle is the piece of candy, and then the little wrappy ends of the paper are the tendons on the end of that muscle, and they hook into the next muscle or into a bone. And so doing that little bit of tendon massage with the circular friction is a lovely thing to do. It's amazing how useful that little thing can be. And using cold along with that massage is very helpful. Okay. So I'm watching our clock here. We started about 10 after. So if we do an hour of the training, about 10 after, does that sound about right? You can just nod. That sounds good? 10 after? Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about putting all that together, but first we are going to do a layer onto the breath called progressive relaxation. This thing's making me hot, so my self-compassion has me taking that off. Okay. Progressive relaxation is something you've probably heard of and maybe even tried. And I am going to give you this tip for progressive relaxation. This is the perfect thing to do while you are going to sleep at night, because it helps your muscles relax so you sleep more comfortably. You might have less pain in the morning. And also, you cannot think about two different things at the same time. Your brain is just not set up to do that. You can bounce from thing to thing. That makes it seem like you can. But if you are paying attention to this process, you can't be going through all the things you should have said to that insult you received 15 years ago from your neighbor that you never really got over. Okay, so these are the things that come when we're going to sleep, right? I'm almost asleep. Oh, I should have said that. Not necessary. But anyway, you can't go back and do it, right? So get a nice breath, and I'm going to talk you through. We're going to start with our face, and what I want you to do is just kind of create a little scrunched up tension in your face. Your eyes are kind of tight, your jaw's a little tight, not hard, just kind of gentle. And notice what that tension feels like. And now I want you to take a breath, exhale out your mouth, let your eyes relax, your forehead smooth, your jaw relax, leaving your face free of effort. And take your attention down to your neck. You can drop your chin a little bit and just feel that tension created in your neck. Notice if it feels familiar. Take a nice breath and let it go loose. Tension draining away from your neck, tension draining down through your shoulders, down your arms, all effort dripping out the ends of your fingertips. So your face, neck, shoulders, and arms are free of effort and relaxed. Relaxed can be ready to rest, and relaxed can be ready to use. So it's very important in self-compassion to realize that relaxing muscles doesn't equate to lazy do-nothing time. It also makes the function of your muscles much more efficient. And then we're going to come down and put your hands on your knees and lean forward a little bit and just feel some tension in your back. Feel how when you lean forward, the muscles along your spine are stretching. Notice what that feels like. And then come up with a breath. And exhale as you release your shoulders again and feel that relaxing feeling down your spine, all the way down to your hips. And for the lower body, we're going to do a little press and release trick. I want you to put one hand on one thigh and try and lift that leg up, but use your hand to keep that leg from coming up, and just feel all that tension on that side in your leg and hip and low back. And then take a breath and let it go. You can swing your legs a little bit to help that release. Tension going down through that hip and leg, and then the other leg. You're going to press, same thing, hand on your top of your leg, press up. Hold for just a second, noticing all that. And exhale and release. And feel all the effort coming through your low back and hips, through your belly and pelvis, down into your legs. All tension draining away down your calves and out the bottoms of your feet. And then breathe into all that and just conjure up a little kind of awareness of kind of a tingly, soft feeling that actually improves your blood circulation. And doing this as you're going to sleep at night, and you don't have to do the pressing with your legs. You can just lock your knee and flex your toes forward, whatever, just, creating tension in your legs is the idea. And just in this sitting, that was the easiest way to do it. Once you get good at it, if you did this every night, even for a few nights, your awareness of your muscular tension pattern would grow like crazy. And that is information that you can use. You're going to notice things that we normally, nobody wants to focus on hard things. That's why when your shoulder hurts a little bit, you ignore it. And then it feels a little bit better, and so you use it more, and then it hurts more, and you ignore it. So then you're using your opposite arm, and it kind of snowballs. And so there's a lot of power in just noticing and breathing. It's not just fluffy stuff. It is so, so powerful as the engine that feeds your self-compassion. Bring your breath practice into your prayers. Bring your breath practice into washing the dishes, or washing your hair, or walking to get the mail. Just these little snippets of practice that really start to add up to feeling incredibly different. Okay, so speaking of snowballing, now we're going to spend a minute talking about your brain as a separate entity. We have a lot to worry about these days, and worry is very natural, and I'm going to tell you why. Your brain, to protect you from threats, really notices when things go wrong. Your brain will give 10 times as much attention to something that could be seen as negative or threatening as it does to a joyful or positive thing. And so All that hard stuff is in our awareness. It is a given. So we have to use this breathing and noticing with our worrying habits to change them as gently as you can change what you're holding in your body. I used to practice, be a practitioner in cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's very, very practical stuff. It's behavior based, and it's good along with other kinds of more long-term talk kind of therapy too. But this one practice that I love, and by the way, progressive relaxation is a practice in cognitive behavior therapy. So you've already started. When you worry, what's happening is something triggers a concern. It can be something real, or it can be something imagined. Let's say you are working with someone who's kind of bossy, who's not that pleasant, and you see a look on that person's face when they're looking at you one day. That's the event. The thought that follows is, oh no, oh no, oh no, I'm going to get fired. What did I do? So there's the event, the thought, and the feelings that come from the thought that may not even be true, which is anxiety, fear, anger, which you can't always express to your boss. And then from the event to the thought to the feeling comes the behavior that's based on what you're feeling from the thought. So what if your boss had gas and he was really embarrassed because he is large and in charge, and he would never say, oh, excuse me. He's just going to have a funny look on his face and walk away suddenly. So you told yourself, I'm in trouble, when really your boss just had gas and he was trying to get away. So that's a rather humorous and not very lovely example. Here's how you can interrupt that pattern. And this is something that is powerful the first time you do it. I've taught this to kindergarten kids. You can get a little rubber band. You want it to be really loose, and you put it around your wrist for however long you want to do this, a few days or whatever. And when the event happens and the thought happens, the oh no, you notice and you get better at it. It seems like that would be hard to do, but you will get better at it quickly. So on the oh no, what you're going to do is very gently, not for punishment, but just as a prompt, very gently snap that rubber band and think to yourself, stop. Where the thought stopping comes in. Then 3 breaths. Do it with me. One more. And with the stopping and the breathing, that can be the end of that practice for that round, or you can replace that, oh no, I'm going to get fired thought with a self-supporting thought that you kind of have already together ahead of time. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about something that worries you. Something that starts when it comes into your mind with, oh no, and then it snowballs down the hill and gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's awful and you feel awful. So I want you to start thinking about that. So do the oh no, see where you're going with that. Let it kind of roll a little bit. Stop. 3 breaths. And while you're taking your breaths, I will inform you that I did not stop your thought. I gave you a prompt and you stopped your thought. You didn't have a string on the back of your head that I could pull. So you can get your own attention the same way. With the stop, you can imagine a railroad crossing going ding, 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 because some of these thoughts, they don't just instantly want to roll away. But the breath helps, and your substitute thought can be something as simple as, there's that thought again. Or it can be, I choose not to worry about that right now. And some people actually, for their worry habit, schedule 5 to 15 minutes a day, and that's their worry time. And so when you think of all these things that worry you, you think, I can't worry about that till 5:15. And that makes you laugh, hopefully, after a while. And then at 5:15, you might not even be able to conjure up the things you're worried about. It's an incredibly effective technique. So along with this, you can try that for worry scheduling. So it's helpful to maybe make a little list later on this evening or in the morning with your coffee of the major things. You may know exactly what it is that you want to target for this practice, but picking out something that really is bothering you, and then kind of focusing on that. You can actually have a piece of paper where you track it, where every time it happens, you do a slash, and then the 5th time, slash 4 slashes and then cross through so you can count for each day. I'm going to do a little self-disclosure here, and it is appropriate because it shows how crazy you can be overthinking. And what happened was, when I learned this, I just happened to be living with a heart rate. And I did not know how I could get along without this awful person that I didn't know yet was awful. And so the first day I tracked this, I had about 300 incidents. And by the second day, every time it happened, I laughed out loud because I had no idea how much this was clogging up my brain. And by the third day, I was down about 90%. And it also completely took me to a different place of how I was feeling about that person, because nobody's worth that, right? So your worries are normal. Some of us worry more than others. So this is a great practice for anxiety, and I really do hope that you'll do some kind of tracking with it, even if it's just the noticing for 2 or 3 days. But if you write those things down, and this is in the handout too, how to do that. Does anybody want to share something that you know that you're going to use that particular practice for? You can unmute yourself and tell us if you would like to. No pressure. Okay, so you can, we can deal with that in questions or not. I'll share. I think one of the things I'm going to use it for is being a body worker whose business was destroyed. I went on unemployment, and I have been working as I can along with that. And in 2 weeks, unemployment is over, and I'm telling myself I am just daggone excited about it instead of, what am I going to do now? It's going to be okay. because I decided it's going to be okay, right? And you can do the same thing. Even, people say, oh, but, why do you want to fool yourself into thinking something's not awful? Well, the worse it is, the more important it is to find a way to let go of it or to find a way to laugh about it. In dark times, laughter is so very important. People laughed a lot in prison camps. And it's what kept them sane, being able to notice the absurdity of life. Of course, everything that happens to us really feels that deep and important when it's happening. These things really matter to you. And so it's not giving up on something you worry about. It's opening a path to finding a different way by breaking the habit of obsessing. And that being said, I'm going to open us up to questions. Are you breathing?
Yeah.
So I am definitely going to invite you to do the progressive relaxation when you go to sleep at night. And I want to say one thing else about sleeping is your alignment in sleep is really important. And so you may already know about this. And I'm going to get a couple of pillows just to show you what I'm talking about. I am a side sleeper. And for side sleepers, if you just lay on your side without supports except for a pillow for your head, what happens is your top leg is lopping over in bad alignment to the other one, and your top shoulder, let's say this is the side that's on the bed. This top arm is just kind of falling over and crunching the other shoulder. So what you can do is take a couple of pillows. You want a pretty fat pillow for between your knees for a side sleeper to keep your hips in alignment. I know somebody that had back pain their whole life, and as soon as they started doing this, they didn't need the chiropractor. It's just amazing. And then for your shoulder, have what I call a hugger pillow. So this is the side that's on the bed, and here's what you do. Instead of being scrunched up here, you reach way out with the arm that's on the bed, and then let it bend and relax. So it's not bunched up in the shoulder joint. And then this pillow holds this arm to relax for support. And you can play around with different pillows to find what works for you. This is a great pillow, this kind of half pillow size, for when you're sitting around on the couch or in a recliner watching TV and you are sideways back like this with your head forward. And that is not good for your neck. And so to have a little pillow to let your head relax back comfortably in alignment on the recliner, or sitting on the couch or laying on the couch. So, these things will come into your awareness and you'll think, oh my gosh, no wonder my neck hurts. I'm sitting around with it bent forward all the time and hanging in midair when I'm reading, So you can have a pillow in your lap for your phone or your tablet, so you're not so you're not having to lean forward. You bring it up to you, but it's supported. And a big pillow is actually better for that. Just having it here with your arms rested. Look at the difference to having it way down without a pillow and what happens to your neck. Same with support when you're, sitting on your computer chair. You don't have to pay $1 million for a chair. Get some pillows and fix your ergonomics. So I said about side sleeping, if you're a back sleeper, pillow under the knees is the classic to take the pressure off your low back. And if you have neck issues, try a smaller pillow. because, you know, sometimes bed pillows are so big and fat and they're just giving too much rise in the neck. And so a smaller pillow lets your head be more in alignment and can maybe make your neck feel better when you get up the next day. Stomach sleepers, I don't know what to say. Stomach sleeping is a problem for alignment because you have to have your head turned if you're laying on your stomach. But if you've done it your whole life and that's what you do, a pillow under your belly, if you're a stomach sleeper, is good to take that bend out of your low back, and then you can sort of hike one knee up, one leg up with the knee bent a lot, so you're almost sort of like part belly, part side with something under that leg. So just play with it. Think of it as, you know, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. Self-care is just one big experiment of what makes you feel better.
I'm going to ask if anybody has any other questions, and then probably we're going to close things out. Does anybody have any other questions or thoughts they would like to share?
Well, let's finish up. Just take 2 minutes for our neck. I promise neck stretches, and we're not going to spend a lot of time. But just as a closing, just get a nice, comfortable seat with your shoulders back and your chest lifted and you're breathing. And curl your head down and drop it towards your chest, just really gently, and we'll count 1,001, 1,002, and then bring it up with your breath. And bring it down again. We'll just do 3. 1,002, breathe it up. Last one, exhale down. And come up for a resting breath. The other 2 directions for your active isolated stretching of your neck is ear to shoulder, which we call sideways flexion. So gently ear to shoulder. Breathe it up. Exhale over, 1,001, 1,002. Breathe it up. One more, exhale over, not as far as you can go, just gentle. That's 3, take a resting breath. And ear to shoulder on the other side, 1,001, 1,002. Breathe it up. Exhale over, 1,002, 1,002. Breathe it up. Last one, exhale over. 1,001, 1,002. Come to a resting breath. The last part is rotation. Let everything go first. And then gently look, rotating your head to one side, 1,001, 1,002. Breathe to the center. Exhale over, rotate again, 1,001, 1,002. Breathe it in. Exhale over, 3, 1,002, back to the center. Take a resting breath and just notice. And also that resting breath helps let go of the holding from that movement. Rotate the opposite side, 1,001, 1,002. Breathe it to center. Exhale over, 2, 1,002. Breathe to center. Exhale over, 3, 1,002. Come center for a resting breath. And just know that neck stuff is sneaky and it creeps up on you, and gentle stretching, gentle ice, heat on your chest at the same time is wonderful for your neck. And that's all I'm going to say about all that.
Thank you so much, Judy. We appreciate you being with us, and we all have access to the handout, and we're thankful for that, and hope that you all treat yourselves gently during the night and week ahead.
Yes. Thank you everyone so much for coming. And my phone number is on that handout. That's my cell. So if you have a question, just text me. You won't be bugging me. Just say, hey, I'm Carol from Emmanuel's class, and I have a question, and I will be more than happy to help you out.
Blessings and peace, everybody.